I thought they started well with their defence. We probably didn't help ourselves at times with some of our carries, but look, I think that game was a very physical game, and as the game wore on, I think we got into it a bit. We grew into the game. It's just a shame that we conceded those 20 points. Obviously, from our point of view, we talked about it at half time. I think we played a little bit too much rugby. It's getting the balance right on where we play and when we play with the ball, and I think we didn't judge that. Our game management wasn't at its best in that first half.
Eddie Jones said the Welsh public should be kind to you. How kind are you going to be to yourselves, do you think, when you're doing that? Look,
we will review that game like we do any game. We'll be tough on ourselves. We're looking to improve, obviously, and we're here to win test matches. We haven't done that in recent weeks, so we need to make sure that we have a very good look at the game and make sure that we take the learnings from it. We've got a game in 7 days' time against Scotland, and that's an important game for us to continue to build the way we want to play the game.
Mr Jones said the red card decision against Tuolangi was, and I quote, rubbish. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was a correct decision.
Alun, your thoughts on where that game got away from you?
I have to go on the chronology of the score, and I think we felt there were two penalties that led to set piece that led to tries. We stayed in it, trading the threes. We tagged one just before half time and started as he'd want to if you were chasing the game essentially in that second half. There was no consolation with regards to the way we finished. Irrelevant of how many men down they were, we still have to convert your opportunities. But I think those first two opportunities they took off the back of discipline relief or soft territory giveaways is the disappointing factor for us.
You mentioned discipline. There was one instance during a scuffle where you had a rather interesting approach from Joe Marler. Thoughts on that?
Can you specify?
He appeared to be grabbing you by a central area.
Can you specify again?
Genitalia?
It's interesting. What would you do in that situation, Nick?
I thought you did well not to react.
Well, 138 tests for my country. Funny, I react, I get a red card. So it's tough, isn't it? Hopefully World Rugby have a look at it. Joe's a good bloke. Lots of things happen on a rugby field. My question is, it's difficult as a captain these days because you can't speak to a ref about anything, it feels. I look at a touch judge, obviously didn't see what happened, and that's fine. But there's a lot of footage that has been shown. Obviously, it seems there's a lot of supporters that saw what happened. It's just very frustrating, the fact that we talk a lot about TMOs and footage review, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of it happening.
Further on to that note, as much as Joe Marler's the clown, it looks like on social media, it's a lot of people on Twitter and social media saying, well, it's funny, but on the other hand, people are saying it's a serious offence. And do you think, therefore, it should have been done about it at the time?
It's very easy to make sport a vehicle for a lot of political and social issues. I think there's a gravitas for a lot of people to do that today, this day and age, and that's a dangerous thing as well as a real thing that's important. I think it needs to be taken into the context of the game, but I think with regards to the judicial power that World Rugby has and the judiciary that we have surrounding each game, as players, remove myself and Joe from this, and the game itself, that's the thing we need to focus on, not the incident or the individual.
Wayne, that's 3 defeats in a row in the Six Nations for the first time since 07. Is next week must win?
Well, every game is a game that we're obviously wanting to win, and for us it's a no-brainer. We will go back to work, we will review this game, and we will look to improve our performance. And obviously playing at home, we'd like to finish the campaign on a good note with a very positive performance.
There were quite a few injuries as well. Could you just give us the update?
Yeah, Jake Ball's injured an AC joint. That'll require surgery by the looks. It's probably about a 12-weeker. And there are a few boys knocked up. I think Lee did very, very well to come out in the second half. He's had a massive gash in his knee, which has been stitched up, so he'll be a little bit sore. But yeah, as you would expect in a test match like that, there's a lot of sore bodies at the moment.
Wayne, when you look at the way you came back and got close to the end, do you look at that and say you're proud of the result, or
Are you more annoyed the fact that you were so far behind that it had to take that to get back to 3 points?
Yeah, well, Alan mentioned it, didn't he? We were frustrated with obviously conceding those points in the first half. We were chasing the game, but as he said, rightly said, we came out and scored that try straight after half time. I think then we needed to manage the game a little bit better for that 5-10 minutes after that time. But we let them off the hook with a couple of penalties. But the positive was that we kept going. We built pressure in the right ends of the field in the last quarter of the game. That pressure then was turned into penalties. The constant infringements ultimately ended in yellow card. And then there was the red card incident. So we had to build that pressure for those things to happen. And, it was pleasing that we were able to do that and then convert it into some points.
Alan, did you speak to Joe after the game?
I shook his hand and that was it. I was holding his hands and that was it, moved on.
And you had a knock in the second half. What was it? You were down for a little bit. Was it a head or was it sort of your knee?
Just the back of the neck, that's all. Yeah, it's just it's rugby, innit?
Wayne, John Humphrey's mentioned his concern over scrum penalties earlier in the campaign. We had a big one against you against France. How frustrating has that been for yourselves in the course of the campaign?
No, look, it's something that John's focused on is obviously us scrummaging square and to the letter of the law, really, and trying to avoid giving away penalties. And I think it's a work in progress. We've got some young props that we're putting a lot of faith in Dylan Lewis and Leon Brown. I think Leon coming on today, had to dig deep and I thought he did really, really, really well. So, look, I think those guys have got big futures in the game and we're just going to keep working hard in that area of the game and making sure that we're improving.
Alan, Matthew Watkins just wore black armbands today. Just have a word for the squad. Your first test, he was in that side. Just a word for how the squad are feeling.
We didn't obviously he's been mentioned a couple of times today with regards to obviously his passing and what he's done with Wales having 18 caps and played for a few regions. We just obviously tried to do it for him as a family and there's a lot of players obviously that are now coaches that would have played with him. We didn't get it across the line for him today, but obviously he's a man that's gone through the jersey. Just thoughts goes out to his family and all his friends.
Brilliant, we'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone.